everybody. My name's DM Craig.
I'm Silver.
I'm Dalhis.
And I'm Lucia.
And welcome back to Valaclaci.
Hey. Glad to be back.
So we'll just do a quick review to make sure we remember what happened.
Mm-hmm.
You guys traveled from Valethorn. You guys got attacked by some kobolds. You guys almost died, two of you.
Yeah.
The tank decided not to get hit at all. And and then DPS and healer.
DPS didn't hit a thing. DPS literally didn't hit a thing.
I actually think I did the most damage.
Tank, that's the great part, was tank didn't take damage. DPS didn't do damage. Healer technically I don't think didn't heal.
Nope, I never got the chance to help.
They were getting down.
Welcome to Dungeons and Dragons, everyone.
Yeah. But then you guys ended up getting to Arire, safe and soundish. You guys got some information that there's a group of hill dwarves that are up in the hilly areas to the north of you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we kind of left off. You guys were trying to get Lucia to go drink with you. She didn't. And
you learned I was broke as shit.
Yeah. It came out that our monk doesn't have a ton of money. We did do there's a couple house cleaning things that we did change up a little bit for anybody that's keeping up with this series. I made some adjustments to travel time and some adjustments elsewhere based on fleshing things out just a little bit more. It makes more sense. So instead of it taking about a week some odd for them to travel from Valethorn to Arire, it ended up taking them about 20 days ish. It could be a little bit more, could be a little bit less, but we're just going to leave it at about 20 days. So we'll just say 3 weeks for them to travel from there to there. So they got a pretty good deal on food and whatnot, based on, if you're wanting to have a modest living on the road, it would probably cost you about, I would say, 10 gold pieces. And then you guys got away with collectively under 10 gold pieces plus room and board for one night. So we'll make adjustments from here on out. I'm going to try and keep these adjustments as minimal as possible, but there will be time, unfortunately, that I'll go, oh, we messed up. Just like a couple things with Burke's unarmed strikes and stuff that we went over and some other stuff. There will be adjustments because I am not perfect at this quite yet. I'm trying to get there, though.
And that all being said, I don't. I'm holding it as a grudge forever. But so we're at our new town. Have we resupplied yet, or are we just are we going to pick up? Okay.
I gave you guys resupply with that money, and I'm not going to go back on that. I would say
we did not equipment shop yet, though, right?
You did not do any form of equipment shopping. All you did was kind of resupply. I had you guys resupply first with that money. So again, even if it doesn't make sense canonically right here, but I won't go back and say that. Oh, no. I would say you guys probably got yourselves a good chunk of days with it. So the next resupply will be the one that I'll actually kind of pay attention to what you're buying and try and make it where you guys are going to have to plan out what you're wanting to do more.
That's fair.
This next one, as long as you guys don't go across the entire world here, you'll be...
quick to the mountains for no reason.
if you guys still head to Lucia's hometown, then I'm not going to do any penalties to you for me switching things up on you right in the middle of it.
Gotcha.
So that was it. You guys had some fun. Silver tried to get Dalhis to drink a whole lot more than he wanted to. Luckily, Dalhis rolled decently to not make bad decisions again. So you guys are going to wake up the next morning. Maybe Silver's feeling just a little twingy because he was drinking a little bit last night.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's about should little mini headache, I'm sure.
So, where are you guys at now?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask who did Lucia wake up before us, or did we wake up before Lucia?
It doesn't matter to me.
Okay,
I'm gonna say that I probably woke up first since I went to sleep while you guys had your shenanigans.
Yeah, and normally the D&D world, it's you sleep for 8 hours and you kind of just wake up. Gotcha. I don't have you roll for. I didn't sleep well, so I stayed in bed for an extra 2 hours.
Yeah, it's not now. Yeah, Well, I was just wondering because I
Roll
wanted
for
to make sure that we
initiative.
were
Who woke up
meeting up
first?
right away first thing in the morning and not like Lucia got up at the crack of dawn to go off and do a church adventure without us. Just wanted to make sure.
Well, that depends. Did Lucia go, you know what? Fuck these guys. I'm going to this church without them.
And that was the thing.
No, she's gonna hold Silver to her promise to go with her.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
So I guess we slowly wake up and make our way down to the commons room.
See,
Roll to wake up.
I picture Lucia kicking in the door, going, "Knock, knock, bitches! It's time to go." And I'm just, it's Silver just sitting there holding his forehead. Fine. So our mission for the day is to go to the church like you had wanted. So Lucia, I say you lead on.
We can stop at the equipment shops first.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
I'm good.
Well, yeah. Speaking of which,
I will go with though.
Speaking of which, Lucia, I want to pull her off to the side a little bit and just mention to her, I kind of got to look at his wallet last night, and the guy has like $12. So we might need to look at this going forward.
What are dollars?
12. Well, dollars is the fancy way in Valethorn of saying gold pieces. So he has 12 gold pieces basically to his name. So we might need to look at this in the future. We might need to start doing odd jobs here and there, to make a few bucks.
I see.
Damn, I was muted during that. I thought I had a decent joke too. Oh well.
Well, let's ask the DM here. We're in the town, and we're coming outside of our inn that we were staying at last night. Looking around the town, what type of shops are we seeing?
Comparatively to what the flamboyant dwarf was telling you, part of the retconning that's happening here, this is actually a little bit bigger of a town than before, and so was Valethorn. So you guys' memories just altered. It's like the butterfly effect. All of a sudden, the new memories get like jammed in there. You get a little bit of a headache for a minute there, but then you're good to go.
That's why I have a headache, not the drinking.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, that's why.
That's why.
So it's a little bit bigger of a town. You're gonna have your the dwarf did say that there was a pretty good leather worker for the area for how big, nothing big like the big cities will have, but like a pretty good leather worker. So you'll be able to get some good leather armors and things like that. That's what you inferred from it. You're gonna have your basic weapon shops, so nothing too crazy and whatnot, but like just your basic weapons that are sharp enough to be able to go through and fight and stuff like that. That's kind of what you figured out based on what you knew about Valethorn, since he said it was very close to Valethorn in terms of size. So if you have any specific questions, just feel free to ask.
Gotcha. So I'm going to turn to the group and ask the question, what do you think, defense or offense first?
I need to buy armor and crossbow bolts.
All right. What about you, Dalhis?
I'm good.
You're good? Like you don't need anything?
I probably need some food. That's it.
Oh boy. Okay, well, let's start with Lucia. You know what? We'll go look for your crossbow bolts and some armor first. Let's do that. So we're gonna look around for a shop that would potentially be selling that. Definitely not in a high-end district, I'm assuming.
Okay. Feel free if you want to open up to in the bottom right of the player's handbook page. Go to page 149. That'll be in the bottom right corner of the page. For anybody that's got their player's handbook open, that'll you'll be able to go through, and that page and the next page, I think, are what you're going to be looking at here.
You don't happen to know what the PDF number is, do you? Because they don't line up.
151.
150.
Yeah, 150,
Yeah, it's
151.
150 and 151.
Yep, there they are. Yep.
So feel free to ask me if they have that item in general. I want to make sure nothing's... I haven't looked through the whole thing, so I don't want it to be like, what? There's a bag of holding for free.
For free.
So just go ahead and feel free to ask me. I'm assuming like the magic implement, you'll see like arcane focus. Guy's not going to have it. If something's like inherently magical, then you can just assume it's not in there.
Gotcha.
Even in terms of like implements, because like I said, magic in my world is rare at this time. Not super rare. Obviously, we've got a sorcerer right here, and there's blood magic in Dallas and whatnot, but it's not like, oh, walking down the street, you're like, wizard, sorcerer, warlock, hey guys, sitting there pointing at him as you're walking down.
Magic party. Yeah.
No, when you guys run into each other, it's like, oh, hey.
Gotcha.
Depending on if you feel like there's a Silver, if there's like some kind of
connection,
kinship between these people,
there would be.
Then that's fine too.
Remember, he likes the oddballs. So,
okay. So, is there anything that you guys are wanting to look for specifically?
I have my longsword still, so I'm pretty happy with that.
I'm looking for armors because armors isn't listed in there, is it?
No, that's just weapons.
That's my fault. I don't know where armors are. Armor is on 146 of the PDF.
146.
And you would be able to get anything in the light armor realm if you wanted to buy anything. I think Burke and I think really Michelle's the only one that can get armor that doesn't take a penalty when she has it on. I know with some form of armor you can't wear them, Brian, because you're a sorcerer, right?
Unless I have a feat. If I get the medium armor mastered feat, then I could eventually wear medium armor. But right now it's only light.
So you could wear leather armor and it not mess you up.
I can actually wear everything.
Yeah, that's what I figured. But this guy unfortunately doesn't have everything. He is just a simple. I'm assuming all these shops, it's like a big outlet. They're all right in a row. So instead of going to individuals, if you guys want to just.
How many days are we going to be on the road?
You are thinking that there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, about 2 weeks ish. 2 weeks ish.
So you said he would not be carrying the hide?
Where's the hide?
No, it's under medium. Never mind.
It's under medium. I would give him the hide though. There's animals in the area, and he is decent at his work. We already got the good recommendation. He would have the hide. He wouldn't have anything that would be like metal or, you know.
All right, I'm gonna buy some hide.
Okay. Good. A good 10 gold pieces. We'll go with the cost here.
Question.
What's up?
I given my blacksmith background and my blacksmith, like whatever I'm going to call it a feat, but you know what I mean?
Yep.
I can't upgrade any of this stuff for people beyond I can't turn like a half or like a breastplate into a half plate, or anything like that, right?
Right now,
I can't.
no.
I can't.
You wouldn't be able to do it right now.
Okay.
I would say, though, if it was something you worked on crafting and whatnot, like to me, I would give this the situation where this would be like the side questing in a video game where you started working on like the smaller stuff first. You could work your way up to doing that kind of stuff. Level 1, because in our stuff that we've done so far, you haven't done any type of crafting or blacksmithing.
Correct.
So right now, I just consider you like proficient for where you were back in your day.
Unless you count the jail.
I would say that you would be level 1 blacksmith in terms of adventuring.
That's fair. And I that's why I had to ask, because like I don't want to, like, I'm not trying to be OP. I just want to know, like,
I mean, you've discussed this, so we kind of know what's I know what I have planned if you want to start doing this stuff, but it is something that if you're wanting to get better to maybe eventually get a breastplate into a half plate, you're probably gonna have to put the time in so your skills don't deteriorate.
Just so everybody knows, I do have skills in leatherworking. Just the basics.
Sweet. I'd say because I don't work with leather, so knowing that's amazing.
I didn't know that either. You guys could you guys don't know this yet, but you guys could team up to help craft things faster and cheaper. Because beforehand, when I've looked up any crafting and stuff like that, it was you can have other people help you out and they would put their time in and they had a thing, but it didn't make sense to me to have like a masterwork blacksmith and a level 1 rogue with no skills like, okay, maybe he can fetch things to make it faster. So like in my head, I kind of changed it up. But like if there's a leatherwork and a blacksmith, like you guys are both what I'll consider like the level 1 adventurer for both things. I would have it where you guys would be able to kind of like talk, communicate, and as you got better, you guys would be able to work better together making stuff. And you guys could end up crafting things to where he starts learning the blacksmith side, you start learning the leatherwork side. You guys could start crafting some pretty cool shit. And it would be faster and it would be cheaper.
Yeah, because, you know, I did come from kind of the hunter-gatherer monastery place.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I'd say at this stage, I'd be, because you would have just informed me that I probably wouldn't put all that together, just given
you guys wouldn't know that
by any stretch.
Unless if you guys have talked about being good at leather and black, obviously you wouldn't know my game mechanics behind it.
No, but I would have. I mean, they know about my blacksmith background because for obvious reasons I've used it multiple times now and talked about it. So,
is there something that says your leatherworking background in here, or is that just like in the book itself?
It's just from my background, and me having a leather worker's kit.
Oh, okay.
That's
so,
right.
That's
so
what that'd be
picked.
in your bag then, right? In your equipment.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The only thing I need is about 10 days of rations. Well, do you have that stored?
Oh, yes. 10 days of rations. You guys are already filled up. Like I said, you guys have already paid for your.
We got all. Yeah, that's right. You got all our rations.
Yeah, you guys already.
This is all about armor.
Yeah, this is just armor and weapons and things like that.
All right, I'm going to turn to Lucia and basically say, this guy is not going to take anything or buy anything. It seems that he might actually need. So we might need to maybe talk about this a little bit and figure this out because, he's a big guy, but he still can get hurt pretty bad. Me personally, I'm going to buy the best armor that I can get after my near-death experience. I'm scared to death. I don't want to die again, so I'm going to buy it. So I'm going to go ahead and buy. It's true though. So I'm going to buy this studded leather, which is the best thing I can buy there, if that's available.
Yeah. Well, we've got a studded leather right here. Looks like your size,
sir. It cost me 45 gold, which is like pretty much a huge chunk of my gold. But you know what? It's going to change my.
You won't be as glass cannony.
Well, you're right, and then it changes my AC from going from where it is now, which is at 11, to a 12 plus Dex modifier, which is a total of 13.
Perfect. So that gets you another couple hits that won't hit you. That's good.
The hide has the same effect without costing a fortune.
I can't wear it though. It's medium armor.
Just kidding.
Yeah, believe me. When I get the chance, my feet will be that. I'm gonna let you guys know right now, but yeah, I'm gonna change my gold now.
Lucia is gonna give Dalhis 20 gold.
Are you sure? I'm fine.
She puts it in his claws.
Thank you for your kindness.
I'll assume that you guys are keeping up with your money situations and
I'm changing
and all that kind of stuff.
I'm updating mine.
Bert, can you wear armors based on the conversation we had earlier, or does it have to be just light armor and you're good?
No armor.
No armor. So for you to keep all of your abilities, you have to have no armor. Okay.
No armor. Yep. That's why I just wear robes.
Lucia grabs her money back.
No, still gonna give him the money.
Whoa! Look at that. Silver
I
clutches her spider.
I've never seen so much money in my life.
Actually true. That like doubled his income. Or tripled. Basically tripled his income.
Pretty much.
Okay. Michelle, part of the resupply is you bought your bolts with that as well, because that was what I had in mind. And like I said, I'm not going back on that. So you are stocked with bolts for your crossbow. So you don't have to worry about purchasing those. Is there anything else you guys are I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, got it.
Is there anything else you guys were looking at? Any other type of item here on the page? I'm assuming nobody's really buying like an actual weapon.
I
didn't know if there's any adventuring gear you guys were wanting to I'll give you guys will have, especially for the area, you guys will have the ability to get things that are like holy, like the holy water and stuff like that. Like
Holy hand grenade.
that's not magic based. So I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that. That is faith based, and that.
But as far, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm good.
I was just going to ask, as far as armor is concerned, the only thing that's available to us at this point is just like what we are reading here, right? Like just like a chest related stuff, basically.
Yeah,
I call it. But
yeah, that's all you're going to see. You're just going to.
That's fine.
You're going to have.
I just want to make sure
everything that's in the light armor, the padded, the leather, the studded leather, and the hide are all that he has. You could go over to the blacksmith and probably find a shield if anybody wanted to go get a shield. This basic shield here. I'd say the blacksmith would be able to have a pretty good shield, and Brian, you'd be able to appraise the different shields to see if they're up to your standard.
High enough quality.
The guy might be better than you, so you might be like, oh, shit, never mind, I'm out. But there's a blacksmith in town, so you would be able to check out. Obviously, if you're getting the weapons, there's a blacksmith. But the blacksmith doesn't do any other types of armors besides that. And since the guy only said the flamboyant dwarf only talked about the leather guy, then maybe that brought it into it. So you might not want to look into too many other things, but a shield would help out. So if anybody's wanting a shield.
Okay. I don't personally.
Hey, we all have bedrolls, right?
Yeah, you guys all bought bedrolls.
Yeah. Do we need any tents?
Do we not have any tents at all?
In my head, no, you guys didn't have a tent. I don't know if anybody picked up a tent in your inventory.
I didn't.
No, I do not.
So you guys are hanging out outside.
Yeah, why not get a tent? Sure. How much your tents cost?
2 gold pieces, but that's for a 2-person tent. But I figured that's probably good because you have 2 people sleeping, 1 person on watch.
Yeah. I'm gonna say you guys have a watch.
Yep. So
yeah,
I'll buy a tent and carry it since I'm strong.
What? Your carrying capacity isn't like 4 times everybody else's.
I'm so glad to hear that. He said, knowing that his back was literally 1 pound away from breaking, thanks to the leather armor.
All right, so I got a tent. There you go.
I need to purchase the holy water.
Okay. And
I also need a mirror and just like strips of cloth. I can't just find like the strips of cloth on here though.
Okay. How big are these strips of cloth?
Like, it's like for healing, so it's like forehead sized.
Okay. Is there anything that's
like you want to
healing based? Or is there anything like that, like some kind of like heal? Everybody,
it's a component in one of my spells, but like,
why don't you just buy some clothes and cut the strips?
Possible.
Or because I'm wearing leather armor, I can give her some of my old stuff to rip up into that.
I would say that
easier.
It specifically says tiny strip of white cloth.
All right, I'll say that you went and talked over to some of the guys that are selling cloth, and they're all right, or selling clothes and whatnot. They're all right selling you some of the strips that they're just going to throw away anyway, and they'll give you them for however many you want for 1 copper a piece. Because they're just like the raggedy end, so some of them might not be great, so you have to dig through and whatnot. But you're able to find pretty much everything that you need out of it.
The weight will be pretty negligible, right?
Yeah, I'll even give you 0 weight for it. They're that light.
10 of those. And my holy water and a small mirror.
Okay, so the holy water would be 25 gold pieces, and the mirror is... Where's that mirror? I know I just saw it.
I think it's 5.
5. Yep, 5 gold pieces for that. So 30 gold pieces we'll do you for that.
Is there, and this is going to be kind of an odd thing, and I know, like obviously with magic being as rare as it is, this is not something that would be very common, but I'm just curious, would there be something there that would, in my head I'm picturing it like a book, like something that Silver could pick up that actually learn more about sorceries, not necessarily to be like more proficient in it. I'm not saying like in the sense of like, oh, it's going to make his accuracy 100%, but like more of a history, like an understanding thing. Because now that he's kind of having to come face to face with his like
Okay, yeah.
sorcery background. He wants to know more about what sorcery is, where it comes from, like basically like think of it like the encyclopedia of
yeah, I got you. Can you give me a perception check?
Sure, I can do that. As soon as I pull up, there it is.
What is your perception?
That's a good question.
Is it plus dex?
Perception? No, it's wisdom. Shit. I mean,
so plus your wisdom modifier, so D20 minus 2.
Hey guys, remember the time where we played D&D and Brian just rolls like just it?
What? That doesn't happen.
D20 minus 2. -1.
So you rolled a 1. You rolled a critical failure.
Yeah.
So you're looking around and you find this like little bookshop, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you see this book that's kind of stashed away a little bit. And on the front, scrawled with one of the letters backwards, it says spell book. And you are like, holy shit, this is it.
Oh no. Oh God. How much is this book that I clearly think is the greatest thing in the world?
The shopkeeper looks at you. After you ask him how much for the book, he goes, 1 gold piece.
I give him the gold piece. Son of a I like how this is the first time I like my character is actually trying to do good in the world, like as far as progress as far as this is awesome. There it is. There's a gold piece gone, and now I got in my item inventory. I'm writing shitty book. Shitty book.
And the great thing is when you opened it to look at it just to kind of like see what it was, you saw some like different drawings, and some of the pages were just blank in between. In the middle there's a couple ripped out and whatnot, but you're thinking, hey, if I study this thing, I'll be able to learn some of the background, which is the best part because it also says spell book, which is for wizards and your sorcerer.
God dang it. I need to get some wisdom boost just to get rid of the penalty, guys. Oh God.
Are we done shopping?
I am.
Can we go to church now? It is Sunday morning. I mean, no. Sorry, that was.
I got to be honest with you. Like, I know all we've done is just go shopping, but like that little 2 number boost between my armor class being 11 and 13 gives me like all the confidence in the world. Like, it's hard to explain, but like I'm looking at that guy going, I won't die from a gust of wind. All right.
Lucia, will you lead the way?
Yes.
I follow behind nose in the book.
I start walking toward the church that I believe we previously saw.
Yes.
Yeah, what was on the front of that church? Do you remember?
It was like a berry with a stick underneath it or something along those lines, right?
Sure.
Yes.
I can pull out my book and tell you for sure. I gotta remember which.
I just wrote finding church or found church going back in the morning. I don't remember the symbol.
Do you remember the symbol I told you, Michelle?
I'm kind of stupid and forgot.
I thought there was it the roses?
Blooming rose above grain.
Okay, a blooming rose over a grain.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I was able to discern that it was probably for a goddess of agriculture, but I didn't have a name for it.
Okay.
But yes, I lead the way to that place.
All right.
All right, so you guys, I'll say that you guys are able to find the place without trouble. I won't make you roll perceptions to get there because we're trying to get lost.
Oh man.
So is there? Once you guys get there, it's early in the morning, but things look like they're not lively inside, but it's definitely there's somebody in there and there's some movement and whatnot. So you know you're not busting down a door on anybody.
Okay.
All right. Lucia gently knocks on the door.
Okay, so out comes this older man. He's got some robes on, and he pushes open the door. And you can tell he's an older man. He's, especially for a human, he's getting up there. He looks at you and I won't use that. My general personality profile says he doesn't believe in gods or the supernatural. We'll ignore that one. I'm not going to use that. So he opens up the door and says, "Hello. Good morning, my children. Can everybody roll me a perception check?"
Sure. I'm sure I'll kill it again. And this is something that I'll have to ask. There, it's rolling. Hey!
So Silver, what did you roll?
I rolled a 16. The rolls really I rolled an 18, but minus the 2, it's 16.
Lucia has an 18.
His rolls 11.
Okay, so everybody is able to see when the old man opens up the door that on his left hand he is missing a couple fingers. They look like they were sewed off. Nothing looks necrotic on it. Looks like it was an old injury, but he's missing fingers. And so he greets you as he did. Good morning, my children.
Lucia gives him a polite bow and then says, "Good morning. May I please enter and ask you a few questions?"
Why, yes. The Church of Shantae is always available to anybody that is wanting to come in.
I nudged all
Lucia
his
follows him in.
and quietly say, "That includes us."
Oh. Do I lose fingers for going in?
No. Shh, you're gonna embarrass Lucia. We do that too much already, man.
Lucia's face turns red.
I've never been in anything like this before. I'm sorry. I'm from the mountains.
He leads you all in there. He didn't hear you talking. He leads you in and he brings you down into the main chamber, which is pretty much right off the main entrance there, but he turns back around and, "What are the questions that you have, my children?" And I'm making him sound probably a lot creepier than he is supposed to be. I'm trying to do a soft old man voice without going, "Trying not to do that.
Come here, child.
Before I question him, what do I know about this goddess? Do you know?
Can you give me another one of your religion checks? Whatever it was that you did last time, to see if it rings a bell for you.
Yeah, because before you were I recognized it but couldn't quite recall the name.
While you roll, it gives me a chance to look up more about this god.
But I guess now you know the name.
Lucia has a 17.
Okay. So what you know about this god from the 17 tells you quite a bit. That you know that this is actually a pretty old god. Excuse me. It's a pretty old god. She is the goddess of agriculture, as you had kind of picked up before, but it was confirmed to you that she's the goddess of agriculture. Some of the things, she's very much with the forest and everything, which makes sense for this area, being that you know the area, Lucia, and how big there's a lot of plant life, a lot of nature and whatnot around. She's a lawful good goddess, so you know that anything that's going on here, no one's going to have ulterior motives. They're going to be very upfront about it, and they're going to be very good. They're usually good people. You have never run into anybody that is a follower of Shantae and it be any form of trickery. So they're very upfront. The other two just look dumbfounded, like, okay, this is another person.
I am keeping with I'm keeping my hands behind my back, my fingers crossed.
Good sir, what is your name?
My name is Addie Bellins. I will give you guys the spelling here. Addie Bellins.
Oh, Addie Bellins.
All right, Addie. She kind of is looking around the church, and she's kind of odd actually. Is looking around and she first asks him if he has any kind of library at this church.
Good question. Yes, my child, we do have a library. It is not very extensive, as we have been getting a downturn in the amount of people that have been here over the years, and some of our books are starting to, well, I can't think of the word for decay for a book, but they're starting to fall apart, basically. And we have a number of them out of circulation to try and find copies of them so that we can either rewrite the books back in there, or we're trying to find replacements for them. But we do have a small library that you would be able to look through if that is what you're wondering.
Lucia looks kind of bewildered at the mention that books can go bad.
Well, not like they just start rotting, but just
she's just kind of like, wait, what?
People using them and like somebody tears something out, they're not very careful with it, that kind of stuff. Just overall wear and tear, because this is a very old god, and you can tell from this church, Lucia, that this is an old building. This thing has been around for a long time. It's stood for a long time.
Why do you have less people?
These things, they ebb and flow. At this exact moment, there's just not as many people that are coming through here at this time, and they are finding solace elsewhere. There are many gods, and some people are very fickle with which god they choose to support.
She hides her holy symbol.
Hold on. Did that just go out? Oh, yeah, I did the wrong one.
Slash D20.
Okay. I don't know what his normal perception was, and I didn't come up with a DC for it. He does see you start kind of like hiding the symbol, and he says, "Oh no, child, this is not that. There's a plentiful pantheon of gods that we know all do exist. We are not going to God, I'm really bad at coming up with the words. Yeah, we're not going to judge those for their faith when we know that these gods do exist."
She nods and says, "May I see the library?"
Yes, you may. And so he starts motioning for Lucia to follow. What are you two doing?
As I said, at this point, I'm just kind of shrugging and following along for the most part. But at this moment, when we're going back to the library, I would probably I'd like to tap Lucia on the shoulder and try to whisper to her out of earshot of the guy.
Okay.
And say, "What are we even looking for?"
Lucia ignores him.
I'm kind of looking around very skeptically with my hands still clasped behind my back, protecting my fingers.
That took me a minute of why. Oh, that was funny. Okay, so he takes you back. If you're ignoring, sorry guys, if you're going back there. So he leads you back to the library. It looks like at this point there was about, I would say, think about like a 4-foot shelf with, I'll say, 2 different racks of books. So think of like just a standard shelf that you'd see at a library, where maybe it's like 5 feet across. So it's like a 5x4. And there's about 3 or 4 of them. There's 4 of them there, but only one of them has any books on it. And it's kind of sparse at this point. Because this is kind of a medieval thing, so it's not like you're going to have like a grand library in every city.
And all set up with a Dewey Decimal System to really help out.
But it is something where, even comparatively to what you have seen, Lucia, this is the fact that they had 4 different shelves, so basically 8 different rows of books at one point, or they thought they were going to need that. You're assuming that they thought they were going to need that and they weren't just super overzealous, that you're like, oh wow, this used to be a pretty good library. And it's down to about what you're used to seeing whenever you've traveled and what you've heard. And, there's I'm making up a number here, but there's basically like 20 or 30 books there. And that's like, holy crap, that's still pretty good for a town this size. And he's talking about it like it's a small little library that got dwindled down.
So she kind of looks around at all the shelves and she puts her hand on the Addie's shoulder and says, "This is wonderful."
Thank you, my child.
Do you mind if we sit here a while and look at these books?
Please go ahead, but be careful with the books. We do not want them, any more of them damaged any more than they are.
All right. Lucia nods and says, "I'm always careful," and she kind of glares at her companions.
Val has burped some acid.
I hold up my book with a misspelled cover and say, "Are you kidding me? I'm a big time reader."
Oh, this would be a great time for you to sit down and read that thing, right? Okay, well, I must go off and attend to some of my duties around the church. If you need anything, please come and try and find me.
I will.
And Addie walks off.
Then I turn to Lucia. Okay, seriously, what are we looking for?
Lucia glares at him. "I told you last night, churches always have knowledge. If we look through these books, we may find some of the history of this town, and we may come across information about where to go next."
I thought we were going to your hometown.
Good point.
We are, but my hometown is not the only thing around here, and there may be other stuff that we want to explore or keep in mind for a future date.
Huh. I mean, where do we even begin? There's so many books here. Like this could take a long time.
Okay, so Lucia, just so I have an idea of what I know what you just told them, but is there any different wording you want to say, out of character, player knowledge of what you're looking for exactly?
She's player knowledge. She's literally looking for any knowledge she gets, even if it's just like, "Oh, we love this goddess." Yeah.
Okay. There are, like I said, there's probably 20, 30-ish books or something like that. Some of them are based on just like your actually roll me a perception check, Michelle, since you're the one, or Lucia, since you're the one actually looking. The other two, it doesn't sound like you guys are really all that much into looking for something specific anyway, so
actually interested in looking for something specific, but just reading for the sake of reading, that he wouldn't be as into it necessarily.
Right, but she didn't really give you too much besides I'm looking for any knowledge. So
that's what I'm saying. He wouldn't be that into it, right?
All right. Can you guys both give me perception checks as well? And Lucia, what did you roll?
21.
I rolled a 14.
You rolled a 16.
I rolled a 16, but minus my 2. Yeah, I got a 4.
Okay, so I was just making sure that you two didn't find like a diamond in the rough. I basically gave you guys a 5% chance to be like, holy shit, I found the book that's like how to beat the big bad villain. It wouldn't have been that, but okay. But Michelle's roll is pretty good. So you're able to go through Lucia and look through the books, and you're finding a bunch of good information for what would satiate you. There's some knowledge about the town, the history of this town. There's some knowledge about the gods. I won't tell you all of it right now.
That's fine. Does any of it like stand out as like a anything like super cool or anything like that, or just is it all pretty standard?
There's one in particular that you feel decently drawn to, and it's called History of the Gods, or some other fancier title than that with a more creative mind. But that's the feeling out of it. It's just it's a history of the gods, and it's actually a pretty thick book. It was one of the ones you saw first, and you kind of looked at it and opened it up, and it looks like there's just a bunch of different gods. There's some gods that you'd never even heard of before. You assume that it's the right information because it's in this lawful good church. but there's some good information.
I turn and look to see if they have anything about Apollo in the book.
You're flipping through, but this book's pretty big. It's going to take you a while to flip through. Because in my mind, you get distracted finding other things.
Gotcha. Yeah, that would totally happen. While she's kind of perusing, she turns to Silver and Dalhis and says, if you want to explore the church, feel free. Otherwise, you can leave me here for a while I do this. And
it looked like Silver was pretty much twiddling his thumbs, looking around, getting kind of bored. I don't know what Dalhis was doing. He was a monk. He could have been meditating for all I know, but Silver
pretty much.
Silver looked like he was on edge.
So Silver pops up and goes, "Hey, are you sure? Because if you don't need us, I had a pretty great idea. Say for the two of us to make a couple extra bucks. Say while you're reading.
I don't need your help to read.
I will.
Awesome.
Will we meet back at the tavern tonight?" I'm not saying you have to drink.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Back at the tavern at 5. Sound good?
Possibly.
At least for food.
Yeah, at least for food. We'll meet for dinner. We'll meet for dinner. It's So at this point, Silver turns to Dalhis and says, "I got an idea," and I'd like to just basically go with Dalhis just outside the church, just up and down the road at a respectable distance, to where we're not like right in front of the church. We're in more of a busy, like downtown-esque area.
Thank God the document I just opened didn't go up to the stream. Oh, thank goodness.
I follow.
Okay, so you guys are you said you're going to the market. Sorry, I was a little distracted.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like a highly traveled strip.
Yeah. Can you guys give me both perceptions?
I swear I am going to level up that thing so fast. Like
Dalhis rolls a 9.
I rolled a 4, but it turned out to be a 2.
Well, it's still fine enough. This was not going to be hard to miss. Walking down, there's a group of people surrounding a board right in the main strip. Like you start going downtown, think Agrabah, how there's like carts and stuff, people selling stuff. Mm-hmm. One of the areas like near a cross section or an intersection, if you want to call it that, there's a board on there and you see people kind of crowded around it. Silver, you're kind of looking at your awesome spell book as you guys are walking, and so you didn't really necessarily notice it, but Dalhis definitely kind of notices the crowd, and it does pique his interest.
And I pull you over to it.
Okay, now Silver notices it. as Silver gets dragged over, because I don't know what this triangle means.
So we start looking at the board.
Yep. So as you start walking over to the board, you notice there's a group of people in front of it, like I said, and they notice a massive fucking dragon walk in. They kind of all part and back up a little bit because he's just wearing robes. There's a dragon wearing clothes, and it really confuses him. And he just walks up to he walks right up to the board, and they all split basically for you guys. Dalhis doesn't notice a fucking thing because he's used to it, but Silver, you definitely take notice how people kind of back away from him. And you see at the top of this board, it says something along the lines of "Help Wanted."
I turned to Dalhis. Go. This might be easier than what I had in mind. I was hoping just to get out of there and put on a little street show with my magic. This could be way better money.
Yes, indeed. What is the reward?
I don't know.
So you see, it's a big board, and you see like a bunch of different papers, for the lack of a better term, stapled onto the board or like tacked onto it.
Sure.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of different ones. Are you wanting to go through them all?
Sure.
Want to read some of them? Okay.
Yeah, let's read.
So just going from left to right, and then down like you're reading a page. You see one of them. It says, "Hey, local chef needs export. Some rare ingredients are coming into town, and we need some help acquiring, getting it outside of town and to protect it from thieves." There's no other information listed besides a point of contact. There's a second one that says the city guard is seeking to hire new guards. And they need someone to help train them. They don't have the resources at this time to train, is what you kind of infer from it. And again, every single one of these has some form of like point of contact for you. There's one that has in big words, rat catcher, 1 silver piece for each rat corpse brought in. Another one, do you enjoy delicious treats? Sweets that are so wonderful that they seem like magic? Well, come to Roland's Magically Sweet treat shop and you won't regret it. And that's all that says. There's no other information on that one. Do you have guts, strength, and power? You can test it in this year's annual brawling competition. Face off in furious 1v1 unarmed combat, and fight your way to the top for the title of the Arrier City Champion and earn the renowned belt of brawling and 500 gold pieces. Priest organizing a bake sale for his church, and he needs your help. And you can, just by looking at it, for some reason, the writing kind of pisses you off and you wonder about its writer and why he's having a bake sale.
Okay.
Neighborhood representative is decorating for the town festival coming up for the City of Champions tournament.
I vote we either catch rats or I can fight.
There's a couple more. Hold on. I'm getting through these. I took the time to write these out. They're getting set. And the person needs help stringing these banners from the rooftops and whatnot. There's a laborer required to bring stones to the castle. You will get a wagon and you must provide your own transportation. There may be some hazards and they will pay in gold. And you can contact Asarena at the Laughing Swagger.
Sorry, can you read that one again?
Yep, laborer required to bring in stones to the castle. You will have a wagon provided, but you must bring your own transportation. It may include some hazards and will pay in gold. Required, or help wanted, sorry. Seasonal farm hands requested to help the local farmer bring in some of the harvest. Serious inquiries only. And the last one, it says, adventurers willing to explore a recently discovered ruins and return any valuable artifacts. No pay until the task is completed successfully. They will pay in gold.
Oh boy. So at this point, I turn to Dalhis and say, anything strike your fancy?
I like fighting. We sparred growing up daily. Or we can catch rats.
While I agree with you that that seems to be the most financially sound method of winning that fighting tournament, and given your size and strength, you probably could. It might draw a little unwanted attention to us. There's a good chance of that. Not saying we can't do it. I'm just saying I'm a little nervous about it.
We're so far away. You worry too much, young little one. Little one. Not young.
Hey, I said you can't say young one.
I know, it smells like shit.
I got you by like 17 years. But, all right. Well, how about this? I got a better idea. Why don't we just take all of the job help wanted things off of the sign and then bring them to the bar with us tonight and have Lucia pick it for us, because she seems to be the smart one of the group.
We could. But what are we going to do in the meantime? I can fight.
Street show?
That didn't go well last time.
No, but I would just be using prestidigitation. I would just it's pretty simple magic. So and it's non-damaging or flammable. So there's really no harm.
I could fight, and you could bet all your shiny gold on me.
Like in a street brawl?
No.
You're in the tournament.
Oh,
in the tournament. So you're saying that we should gamble and use you as our ringer?
Maybe.
You know what? I like the way you think, but I'm telling you, if we do something like this again, Lucia's gonna have our asses. I don't know. She scares me.
Just one fight.
She scares me, man. Are you kidding me?
Just one fight.
When is this tournament of champions?
It is 2 days from now.
2 days from now. All right. Okay. We have time. It's not this afternoon. Is there anything on this board that we could do today before 5 o'clock?
The only thing that you see on the board that looked like it was pretty open-ended was the rat catcher.
then in that case,
To the sewers.
You did say rat catcher. It was one of your
Decided
options.
to do this, yeah, but I'm like picturing this huge ass dragonborn like chasing these rats in the street. Crazy like shit.
In that case, I turn to him and go, I've done worse things for a buck. All right, let's go hunt.
I want to hear that story.
So at that point, I would still like to grab absolutely everything off the board and strip the board clean so no one has a chance to do any of the other jobs.
Okay, can you roll me a d20?
Sure.
I'm gonna laugh so hard if you fail this.
14.
Okay, so you're able to go through and hold on.
I'm not exactly able to take a picture of it with my iPhone, so I got figured.
You're able to go through, and then as you're kind of grabbing them off real quick, there's two different guys. They're like, "Hey!"
And then I'll turn to them and go, "Hey!" See how that sounds? It's awfully rude. Don't yell.
Yeah, and so they sufficiently like, okay, well, I'm good.
I didn't even have to do my, and I have a huge bonus to intimidation, so I'm glad I didn't have to use that.
Okay, so you take all the boards, and people are kind of looking. Some people didn't notice you; they were like talking to their friends, kind of like you were, about maybe joining in to get some of these, some of this money and whatnot. And they didn't notice, but there was the two guys that did notice. You kind of backed them down, and they're like, "Oh shit!" And so you walk off with the boards, now empty job board.
I also like the fact that, like, my guy goes and grabs it all. Meanwhile, there's a scary ass dragon standing right behind him.
That's why there wasn't as many people that said "Hey."
Oh, okay.
I took that into a effect that people saw you two talking loudly and animatedly about what you wanted to do. And then I rolled to see how many people, the ones that didn't shit themselves over the idea of a dragon, that were like, "The hell's going on? What are you doing?"
I just, for some reason, it's really humorous to me that the big ass dragon is like the heart and soul versus like that, like what looks like should be like, oh, he's a fat head, guy. And he's like an asshole. Oh, I love it. Okay, so I guess we'd like to first off, what is Lucia doing during this time?
Yeah, let's go back to Lucia.
Yeah, because I don't want to.
You're going through this book, right? You're basically going through the history of the gods book.
Yes.
Okay. So you're going through and you're finding a whole bunch of information, but oddly enough, there's nothing on Apollo in this entire book. And that confuses you. Because you know this is a god that you've worshipped your whole life growing up, and there's nothing on the god of Apollo in there. And it kind of mystifies you and you don't understand. It's I wouldn't say there's like a personal attack type feeling, but it's almost like there's not self-doubt. What's a step lower than self-doubt? But it's right around there where you go, huh? And it's confusing to you.
All right, she carefully puts all the books back and goes to find Addie.
Okay. You find Addie, I don't know, jerking off in the center of the room or something. I don't know. He's out there. He's brooming like a corner. He's just sitting there sweeping.
Not brooming.
You heard me. He's brooming. He's brooming. I said grooming. I said he was grooming everybody.
He's a witch.
He's a witch. I said grooming. Yeah, he's sorry, this is what happens when I try and think fast. You know how I am with proper nouns. When I'm trying to come up with creative things too, this goes bad. Yeah, so he's sweeping in the corner with a broom, so we'll call it brooming. In one of the rooms, Lucia. Mm-hmm. He doesn't hear you come up.
All right. She kind of just gently taps his shoulder.
He doesn't shit himself from being scared. So he turns, oh yes. Did you ever tell him your name?
No, I did not.
Oh, yes, my child. Because if he said Lucia, you'd be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Demon!
She asks him to sit with her a minute.
Of course, I have a few minutes to spare, but yes, we can sit.
All right. So she just looks at him and asks what he thinks of Apollo.
he kind of looks at you, sort of confused. This Apollo, who is this Apollo?
She shows him the holy symbol that she has and says, my patron god.
He looks at the symbol, very not confused, but he's scrutinizing the symbol, and he still pops back going, I know the pantheon of gods is big and things change over long times, but I do not know anybody that goes by the faith of Apollo.
All right. She just kind of nods and says thank you. And
have you checked the history of the gods book that we have on hand?
I did, and I did not see anything there either.
He gets a confused look on his face, because he can tell that you're being truthful. You're not making this up, and so he's very. His interest is piqued because he knows that you're worshiping somebody that he doesn't know about, and he's read through that history of the gods book, but he's old. He thinks that maybe he missed it. He doesn't think himself, all knowing, so he's confused. But he lets you continue. Sorry.
So we're just two very confused people here.
Yeah. Neither both. You're confused that he doesn't know about it, and he's confused that he doesn't know about it because he holds himself into a high standard of knowing a decent amount about the gods. Not everything. He doesn't know everything about everything, especially the darker gods. He just knows that they're bad, but I say darker, but the evil gods. But he's confused. He can tell that you've got a good heart though, so he's not concerned that you're like a chaotic evils worshiping.
All right, so she just kind of tries to quickly sum up what she knows.
Okay.
Talking about how he's the god of the sun and light and healing. And that's she just kind of shares like the basics.
He takes it all in and he takes the information in and slowly nods his head, and the only thing he can come up with is just, well, this sounds like a very noble god, and I wish you all the luck in the world, the prayers to the gods for who you're worshiping, because he sounds like a righteous and just god. But I do have to apologize. I do have a meeting that I need to attend to. Can I show you out?
She asks if she can just linger in the main room for a moment, and then she'll leave.
He agrees, and he says he'll be in the back, but he does have a meeting coming in not too long. So, and he would like to have private conversation with them, or however he says that in a nice way that's not some creative asshole that's jacked up on coffee right now trying to figure out a way of saying it.
Yeah, she's literally just gonna go find like flour and just kind of bring it to them as thanks for letting her look through their library.
Okay.
And then she'll leave.
Okay. All right. Well, if there's is there anything else you guys are wanting to talk about? Because we're pretty much up at our time for today.
I'm just ready to kill some rats.
All right. Well, that's all we've got for this episode. We'll see you guys next week.
Laugh, bitches.